Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 11th episode of Concerned Dabs podcast. I am your host, Katie M. Kane. With me is my co host, Will Terps.
Yo, yo.
Tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, pig farmer, one of the most elite cultivators in the whole, I'm going to say the world, man. I know I'm from the state of Oregon, but dude has game, and we are really excited to have him on the show, and we have him on the phone right now. So we're going to skip the intros and just have him say what's up. How you doing over there, pig farmer?
I'm doing good. How you guys all doing tonight?
Doing all right,
Damn
man.
good.
Yeah, man. Excited to have you on the show. Okay,
Yeah.
man. So I'm gonna just jump into my cookie cutter questions and just let you story away. I'm sure that Will have some questions too.
Yep, definitely. I'll
My
chime in.
first cookie cutter question is, can you please state your name, city, state, company, and whether rec or medical?
I'm still medical out here in Oregon right now. My name's
Nice.
Joe. My company name's
Nice.
never really been a rec company or anything, but my company name was always just Pig Farmer. Come from when I
Word.
first started growing, my first grow back in Iowa, I was growing on a little pig farm. I was growing like maybe a football field away from like 3,000 head of hogs. So
Damn,
I was
that's
growing
cool,
hog and
man.
shit back then, and hoping the stink of the pig shit would cover up the fucking smell of marijuana.
Damn, dude. Yeah. Fuck, dude, I lived in Olympia by that mushroom farm. And the mushroom farm, it was right in our backyard and it just reeked when we went outside. We had one artist that would come record and he just kept saying, dude, you gotta run some lights in the garage, man. You don't even have to have any filters, you know? So that's
Yeah,
crazy. That's cool that's
yeah,
where the name came from, man.
yeah. It's pretty fucking nasty. Like if the wind would blow from one direction, you would smell the hog shit because there was literally like 1 million gallon pits underneath them fucking hogs where the shit would get dumped all year long, and then in the fall they would put it on the cornfields to grow the corn crop next year for the nitrogen source. So that was
Damn.
one direction. The other direction was like the fucking bin where they put the dead pigs, and that shit
Ah,
stunk. You know, it was like dead, dude, and that was gnarly. That's one of the things that also
damn.
pushed me the fuck out of Iowa, is dealing with that shit. I love old man to death. Good shit to get through life, you know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. It's good to hear these type of stories too, man, because it wasn't always shits and giggles, man. You know, like people came up,
Uh,
you know.
yeah, shit was
So
pretty hardcore back in Iowa
yeah,
back then. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, I mean you always had to consider a lot more things, just covering up the smell, obviously. There wasn't like as many resources. You can't just go on the internet and look up like, well, hey, how do I do this? Or what if my plant looks like this?
Yeah, and like
okay,
like that was like I started growing in like 98 or 99 going into 2000. Yeah, my actual first crop was I was home trimming an AK-47 and Dutch Passion's like pure power plant, I think it was called, when it was New
word.
Year's Eve rolling into 2000. Like all my buddies around, I'm harvesting my fucking first crop and like just stoke this shit, dude. And
No
that was
doubt.
the thing, like
Oh
plus
yeah.
I ran a 400-watt veg light and a 1,000-watt bloom light. That's all I needed back then.
Dope. Yeah, man, that's cool, man. So what would you? It was AK-47 and Dutch Passion is your first run?
Yeah, Dutch Passion. I think it was power plant or pure power plant. It was like some sativa, and like looking back, like I didn't really even know like indica or sativa or anything. But now that I know what I've
Dude,
seen, they were definitely sativa
yeah,
plants.
that's
Yeah,
cool,
big old
man.
like 3 foot wombats. But I was
Yeah, when
harvesting
I
like, you know.
as as soon as I got my card and I figured out those terms and the meaning, like, bro, just so much shit made sense from my youth. It was like, fuck. That's why those fucking quaps didn't fucking get me high back then. You know what I mean? Like and it's like they were bomb, but I would smoke the shit out of them because I wasn't getting the relax and chill. You know what I mean? And so it just
Yep.
once I got my card, I was like, okay, I guess I'm an indica guy. I want to relax and chill, but it just made so much shit make sense. And then when shit was like darker or older, it's like it was more of that relax and chill. Because on my res, Joey, like we grew up on dirt weed, bro. Like it
Yeah.
was like any kind of chronic was 20 bucks a gram, and it wasn't much, and you'd have to go and grab an ounce from a city nearby and
Yeah,
try
I think a
to
Yeah.
lot of
hook
people
the homies up. So it's
grew
like
up
Did you
on
get
that
some
too.
so
brown
like
frickin' press weed? Did you get that on the reservation? The press weed with all the cracked seed?
yeah, dude, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Man,
We
you
get it
put
from
that weed in the
Yakima.
growing weed.
Homies from Yakima had that shit.
Yeah, that's why I started growing weed. I didn't even know what weed looked like until I grew it, because I thought it was gonna be like some flat pressed fucking brown shit. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know it really until I blew them on a plant, dude. It was freaking gnarly.
Yeah.
First
Fuck,
time I
dude.
seen weed change from bush to flower, it blew my mind. Blew my
Yeah.
mind. Yeah,
That's
made me feel
awesome.
like
Yeah.
it was incredible. I'll never experience like it's kind of like having a child born and watching childbirth. Gnarly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Something you created, man, for sure. For sure. I guess okay, so you answered the question since 1999. So fuck, dude, that's gonna be 20 years on New Year's, dude.
Yep.
That's awesome.
The years, 4 years.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that leads me to my next cookie cutter question is what what pushed you towards cultivating? It was just more or less the not having
Shitty
any
brown
bomb
weed,
weed.
dude. And if I wasn't smoking that
Yeah.
shitty brown weed, I was driving like 10 hours one way to pay $500, or I was paying like $5 grand a pound. So I would buy a pound, bring it back to my homies, and like sell all the ounces but one, so I could smoke that 1 ounce free. And then when it was out, I'd
Yeah.
drive the fuck back out there again. So I got tired of that shit in a hurry. But
Oh
dude,
yeah.
I was hooked up to in Colorado that today, like, I don't know if it was because, like I was younger and like not as experienced, but I still to this day think this guy had the best weed I've ever had in my life. And it might have just be
Yeah.
because I was like a kid, It,
Yeah.
it just everything he would come through would just be fire. Like lemon
Yeah.
tea. The first time I seen sour diesel come from that guy, and like that sour diesel that I smoked, I feel like puts like Scooby snacks even like on the second shelf. That shit was righteous. And like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
all that
definitely. I
shit's
even
gone.
remember some.
What's that, Will? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
bud.
No, no, you're good. I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, I back in the day, a lot of the stuff I'd get back on the East Coast, it'd be hit or miss. But sometimes I get, a crop or two or like a strain that was like, geez, like who grew this? Like fucking master grower, it was just like crazy frosty, smelled great. But that stuff always costs an arm and a leg, and I never knew like what they were growing with or what went into it. So it's just a lot of
Right.
speculation.
Same with me back then. I never knew to ask questions like that when it was
Right,
2001.
right. Exactly.
Same,
Yeah.
same, dude. Like for real. And it's like back then, you didn't get to meet the guy that fucking put in that work. You know what I mean? There was at least one or two middlemen between,
Oh yeah.
and it would just
Exactly.
Yeah.
like fuck. Like that's cool that you became the guy. You know what I mean? Like it's like fuck.
Yeah, but
That's
now it sucks because like it's kind of like I wish to God I could go find some really good weed. I'd pay $400 an ounce for some weed that I wanted to savor like every little hit that I take. That shit's
yeah,
worth it. You
Definitely.
yeah,
know. But
no doubt.
Absolutely.
there's not
For
much
real,
good weed
bro.
out
Like
there anymore. That's what's changed in the scene. Like people. I don't know if people like what their acceptance level, if it's went down, or like if just like the overall quality of it went down. And I think a lot of it too might be this new virus that we're all finding out about. Like, because any I've grown 8 different sour D cuts. None of it's held a candle to what I used to see back in the day. What
yeah,
happened to that? Even like the Chem Dog, the original Chem Dog. I started growing that thing in 2001, and today it's a mere expression of what it was in those days.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard, and I'm in Mass right now, so I think the Chem Dog and the Sour Diesel kind of, at least from the stories I've heard, originated around this area. And I don't even know. I know there's this guy that goes by the name of Chemdog Glass. I'm not sure if he had anything to do with original
Yeah,
Chemdog or not.
that's cool, man. That's cool, man. That's
Yeah,
E for sure. Yeah.
nice. Because I remember, I think he even like I could be wrong, but I think he's like literally like I'm in Holyoke, Massachusetts right now, about 10 miles from Northampton. I think he lives around that area. I could be wrong, but yeah. I mean the origin stories too. The University of Massachusetts Amherst with the sour diesel. But yeah, just going off that. I mean, I had a cut when I was going to high school up here. I got a sour diesel, quarter of sour diesel from my dealer, and I have literally not been able to find anything as funky as that sour D I got, like even on the West Coast and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I bet
pretty
even
much
if
any
that
shop
guy's
I've been
got
into.
even if that dude still got that cut today, it's still growing it the same way. I bet it's a mere like image of what it used to be.
Right, right.
Word. That's
Yeah,
dope,
I
man.
think I think these cuts like they got they're age. They age.
Yep.
Something I don't know what to
Yeah.
do with them, and like none of us, not a lot of us have ever kept mothers. I never kept mothers. I'm always clones of clones of clones, and that could be the shit that fucks it up too.
Yeah,
Right,
dude.
definitely.
My uncle in Seattle did that same shit. His OG cut came from Oakland when he moved to Seattle, and I worked for him for like 2013 through 2014, and it was bomb when I first showed up, but he didn't keep mothers either, and it's like before I left, it just didn't hit me the same way. You know what I mean? And I
I
could
think
just tell like potency was a little bit less at least. It still smelled bomb and everything, but I'm like, man, this ain't like you're
Yeah.
copying a copy, you know what I mean? That's cool to hear you say that because I just noticed it, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, this ain't the same.
I feel
So
like with these strains too, like sour D and Chem Dog, the more elusive ones, it's like uh, they get watered down, like we say, like we were talking about, and no one's doing the due diligence of, like making, creating a new mom once the generations have kind of been exhausted, and that could, that who knows, that could play a factor into it.
right now there's so many like variables. Yeah, it's like I've been doing this for 20 years, and I was saying earlier, it's like I unlearn just as much as I think I fucking learn every year. Now at this point, it's
yeah,
like things I think I've taught myself like turn out to be like I don't know, like you're always questioning something, it's kind of like the dragon
yeah.
chasing.
Well, dude, I remember one story from Jackson at Natural Wonders. He was just telling me because I was out there in Sherwood that summer in 2016, and he said that you had some kind of like you had a well put in, or they had to come and put a new pump in or something, and I guess they like put a bunch of chlorine in the water,
Oh yeah,
and
it is.
Jackson was telling me the story. He's like, bro, like he was saying he was pouring everything up and mixing everything, and he just told everybody stop. Why is it bubbling up like that? You know what I mean? Like what the fuck is that? And everybody's like, what? I don't know. He's like, yo, it's not supposed to do what the fuck, man, And you didn't feed your plants that water, bro. And I'm like, fuck, that's cool, man. Like it's just to notice that, you know what I mean? Like to pay attention
I
that
smelled
much.
the fucking chlorine, dude. I think I smelled the chlorine. I got like really good like
Ah.
scent, and like I can't hear for shit, but I got good scent, dude. I can smell the chlorine.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's cool, man. And so like
Yeah.
how did you remedy that? Did you bring water in or something?
I don't know. I probably went to the neighbors and got water or something. Like I only need like 30 gallons of water at a time.
No
I can't
doubt.
remember what the hell I
Yeah.
did. But
Okay. So I'm gonna switch
I think
to
that
another one. Can I go to one of my cookie cutter questions, Joey?
yeah, dude. Sorry, man. Yep. Better.
Okay, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. But is
No,
it true that you used to
I'm drinking.
tour with the Grateful Dead?
Did I too?
Did
No,
you
I
used to?
did not. I never got to see Jerry once.
Oh, what?
Yeah, no. I turned 18 like 3 days after Jerry passed away, and like I come from I grew up, I graduated, I think there was 18 other kids in my class, like a small town, and like I was sheltered from the world until I was like old enough to go off on, see the world on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I never fucked with see Jerry.
Damn. But you're a fan? Like I remember hearing some story from someone about they're like what's you're just a Grateful Dead fan or something?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like the Grateful Dead and like cannabis kind of like I found it all at the same time. Like, like 95-ish is 96 is when I started smoking a lot. And I don't know, it kind of came hand in hand. And like it probably coincides with turning, from a child into an adult, but man, I changed a lot from weed and from the music alone. And like, I don't know, now I listen to the Grateful Dead like through headphones, like hi-fi, and it's like, dude, there's just nothing like it in the world. I mean, it's like it's a drug. It's a purest form of euphoria you can get,
Yeah,
musically.
man. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I recently saw Dead and Company live, and I will say, while I was never around, I never had the privilege of even close to being coming close to being able to see Jerry and all that. But I don't know. My dad's an older Deadhead, and while I enjoyed the show and hearing some classics like that,
Yeah.
it's just it's not the same vibe. My dad kept saying when we went to the Dead and Company show about a week ago, he's like, this is not the Dead crowd from, this is way different,
Very
and
different.
it's like, I don't know, it's something about it. Like, Jerry was a lot of the heart and soul of that band. I mean, every member was important, but Jerry was the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, like if you're gonna listen to shows, get some like just get some good shows, because there's some shitty Grateful Dead shows too, but get some good shows that are like digitally remastered and like some
Oh
hi-fi
yeah, Dick's
headset and
Picks.
a bag of weed, you will lose yourself.
Oh
If you
yeah,
get like lots of music like that. I mean, Fish does it to me now too a little bit, but I'm just kind of a little wet behind the ears on it still, with the Fish. But man, you go
totally.
to a Fish, it's the energy's there, and it's like the vibe feels right, and it's just so it's explosive at times, but like it doesn't make me have the emotional feelings that like listening to those shows even at home like through a headset do. Like I'll go from like
Right.
totally happy to like glee pissing my pants to like crying about some shit or thinking about some people I ain't thought about in 10 years and shit, dude. I mean, it opens up like every freaking channel of the brain or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
I had a really cool experience. Was it about 2 years ago? I was at Oregon Country Fair, and I have a good friend, Jimmy, who lives down in the Eugene area, and he's like knows the people at the country fair well, and has been volunteering there for years. He didn't let me know about other people he knew, but I was hanging out with like his friends and some of the like people working the fair and that, and we were like sitting behind the information booth, passing a bong around, and I was sitting next to this woman, and we were talking a bit, and passed her the bong, and everyone kind of dispersed, and he comes over to me, and he's like, "Hey, do you know who that was sitting next to you?" And I was like, "No." He's
Dixie.
like,
Nope.
Trixie Garcia." Yep,
Fuck, I
Trixie
already knew you were
Garcia.
saying that before you said it, dude. I already knew. I don't know
Yep.
how. I already fucking knew that, dude. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
dude, you knew. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, and I was like,
Dude,
wait,
it's
what?
funny
Like
because
Jerry
I've only been to
Garcia's
fair like
daughter?
twice. Yeah, I ran into
Yeah.
Trixie at fair once. I've only been to fair twice. So yeah.
Yep.
But dude, yeah, like just seeing
Yes.
her, like you can see the freaking angel inside her or something, like the energy
Yep.
glow coming out. Wow,
It's
it's crazy.
crazy. And then my friend told me that went on telling me, he's like, keep this on the low, but I literally lent my house I rent from the Garcia family. I'm like, holy shit. All right. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Dude, yeah, you guys,
I gotta
I need to
ask
like.
you. I gotta ask you about John Mayer, Joey. What do you think about John Mayer?
Oh, dude, don't get me. We don't want to get started on that shit, do we?
Word.
Yeah. No, what I was saying about the Grateful Dead though is like, man, I need to like reach out to Chemdog, and I think he would like come on here and shoot the shit with you guys because he's got some crazy weed stories that are like I don't know if it's all been told over and over again, if he'd like get tired of telling the stories or whatever, but that stuff,
Yeah,
I
we'd
guess
like to hear it,
that
bro.
the
Hell
movie
yeah.
part,
Definitely.
dude, talk to G about some of this shit. That'd be cool to see
Yeah.
a show like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my next cookie cutter question, Joey, what sort of methods do you use? Soil, hydro, nutrients, whatever?
So I mean, like now, I definitely use soil and nectar, and I have been nectar for the gods for like what I guess 2012. I changed to nectar when it used to be called Harvest Moon Organics, and
Oh yeah. Their logos are the
when did
shit,
it?
bro.
Yeah, I found it at the Boring Hydro store, which is now closed with all the other darn hydro stores. But yeah, I found it, and then like about a year later, it switched over to Nectar for the Gods. And dude, like at the time, it was everything I was looking for. It gave me like control over which input, over which how fast the plant was going to drink the shit, or uptake the nutrient, and like how much of each nutrient I could tailor stuff at that point. And like
Word.
to me,
Did it have the
I've
mint?
grown,
Did it
I've
have
grown
the mint smell
hydro.
back then?
What's that?
Did it have the mint smell back then when it was Harvest Moon?
Oh yeah, it still does have a
Uh,
slight mint for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
but
I thought that was so pleasant when I was pouring that shit up. I'm like, God damn, it doesn't smell like fucking shit. Like, shout out to
yeah,
these guys, you know what I mean?
yeah, they're doing it right, dude. I mean, fuck, it's not right by vegans, I suppose, but man, that shit, it's like how our ancestors grew plants with dead animals, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
fucking A, dude, bone meal and shit. Like,
And what is that microbe life photo? That smells like shit.
The micro, oh, the photo plus,
With in the
yeah,
Yeah, the photo plus microbe life. It smells like
yeah,
shit.
we call it the photo part over here, dude. That shit's the nasty. Anything that stinks that's gonna turn good in weed to me, like it's disgusting to think about, but
Definitely.
yeah.
yeah,
Do
no
we have
doubt.
some shit called Wade that was like straight up pressed? Like they would go and collect like all the freaking like schools like vegetable scraps and they put it through a corkscrew and like squeeze all the juice out of it, and they were selling that shit. Man, I was putting that on
Was that like
like.
Grokashi or whatever?
No, it was totally different than or Bukashi or
Oh, okay.
whatever. It was like a vegetable juice ferment, and it was just straight nasty. And when I was bringing all that flour into like Jackson's, back in the good old medical days, dude, like that was a
Yep.
product that was going on there. And that shit made that fucking weed like even better than the kids. I guess were dirtbags, so that ran it. And I guess they stole the recipe for some guy up in like Washington and like tried to copy it down here in Oregon. And like last I knew, they were like fucking wanted by the sheriff.
Damn,
Okay. Damn.
Yeah, because they like ripped the guy's like company off.
Yeah,
damn.
that's shady.
Yeah, if
But they
it's
make a
like,
good product, so hey.
yeah, intellectual property and such.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. So, I got another cookie cutter question. How do you feel about no-till, sir?
Bring me some shit worth smoking, and I'll hopefully have a different opinion. But I mean, I've yet to smoke any, but they're like, I'm pretty picky, but like, I've yet to smoke any no-till that like I even want to have a second hit of. And it's like
Well,
I like the whole idea of like growing weed cheaper and less impact and shit, man. I like that whole idea, but man, like I can't palate it. I
mm-mm.
taste like. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like it just. And I grew up, like around farm animals. It smells just like the farm feed we used to feed our, feed the animals.
word.
Fucking straw and alfalfa. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Somewhere along the way, at least some of the no-till growers decided that oh, we don't need the flush or whatever, and I don't know. That's
Yeah, I will say though, Joey, we had a guy, Joshua Steensland, on episode 2, and he does no-till, and I got to try some of his grease monkey, the flour, and the flour rosin, and dude, it was fire. Like I was impressed. I was
Yeah.
like, no. fucking way, dude. Like just water. Like holy shit. I was impressed by his work, and it was no till indoor. So like that's his game. You know what I mean? I was just super impressed by that. Um,
Yeah.
but I can agree. Like most no till outdoor guys, I'm like,
I haven't had good no-till in
y-
years,
yeah, it's like it doesn't matter what you've
personally.
done. It's gonna taste
I
the
don't even know if,
fucking like
yeah, I don't even know
outside.
if
You
now
know,
that,
it's gonna taste like outside big time. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, like, dude, there, like the guy down, he used to be part of TGA, Joel Taylor. He used to have like, or a subcool soil mix. Like they used to grow really good tasting pot with like an organic amendments. That way. So I've always liked organic amended like soil grown pot. And
yeah,
then,
that was
of course, people fuck up nectar weed though too. I don't know how, but they do. So there's some nasty ass nectar weed out there. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah,
So I
I
mean,
definitely.
mean,
it's just like I'm not in a big circle. I'm in my own little bubble. I just, like I haven't smoked only probably 5 or 6 people's no-till, but I didn't want to like even have a second taste of any of it.
no doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because to me, like that's how I grew outside, and I would make my soil with organic amendments. I would go and hit up concentrates out there in Oregon City and load up, bro. And I would make my soil a month or two ahead of time. I could tell if I didn't have enough time and it was too hot when I planted, it would fuck shit up for a couple weeks, but it would settle down. And I was
Yeah.
always proud because I would just use tea and water, and it tasted bomb. And so that's
Yeah.
when I saw guys doing no till, I'm like, no fucking way. Like you guys, no blood meal, no bone meal, no bat guano, like fucking no nothing. Like I'm like fuck.
Mhm.
That's crazy. You know what I mean? Because to me, that's what made the shit fucking fire, man. You know?
All right. The more nasty stuff you can give it.
Yeah, dude, I
Exactly.
agree. Yeah, I went kind of ape shit with the bat guano, my first time using it and burned my plants, but I learned like I don't use much of it
Oh
in
yeah,
the
I just
flower
used
now.
the herb seed, like way back in the day, and just roach plants, and now I know it's more from low pH, so that shit's super acidic. But yeah,
Yeah, it seemed like that stuff would turn the compost tea orange too as soon as I would add it. Like normally it'd be like a dark brown color, but that bat guano got in there. It's fucking bright orange. Like holy shit,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, back when it's done, but they're fucking up the back haze, with that shit. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of people running it anymore. That's for sure.
Word. Yeah, the I remember when they ran out of that green sand at concentrates, like they said the mine dried up. Like the mine was in New
Really?
Jersey or something, and then
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
there was no
That's
more of
some
it
real life
available.
shit.
And I was and then that was I
Yeah.
felt like that was a key ingredient too, and I couldn't get it anymore. So I'm like, fuck, god damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Um okay, so my next cookie cutter question. You're growing coral reef now?
I'm not really. Yeah, just growing corals like frags and just keeping saltwater tanks for sure. Got into that like I don't know, maybe shit. It's probably close to 3 years now ago. I mean, I used to
Tight.
do it back in the late not like about the time I started growing. I kind of got into it, but I moved so often that I could never like have it. You got to have time to get these things stable, and like I never had enough time in one area to actually watch one like transform and grow into a full blown reef. You know,
That's
but
that's tight, dude. And it's like a business too, right? Like pet stores be buying all that shit and stuff too.
yeah, it's getting pretty big. I mean, like the saltwater trade. Like there's a bunch of shit going on with the importing of it or the exporting of it. Like countries like not allowing to export certain corals
Ah,
and shit. And it's a lot like cannabis too. Like somebody gets in this new hot fire, cutting or whatever. But this is actually a new hot color of a zoanthid coral or a acan coral. So like people start fragging this shit off and selling it for high dollar. Pretty much through the mail trade. Like through black market mail trades, what a lot of these people are doing with it. But like
that's
more, I was
that's a
kind of
trip.
setting up to like sell to local saltwater stores, like wholesale them. stuff
Yeah.
more than
So like
the
so
time.
fragging is that like cutting clones then? Like
Yeah,
fragging?
pretty much like yeah, a good
So
like.
you break it and then you can root it in your own tank or something like that?
Well, yeah, you pretty much a lot of them, like you just cut them. Like you can use a tile saw, pretty much like a Griffin saw. It's like a wet tile saw that you use to like anything that has a calcium layer, like you just saw through it on that. And yeah, like you can't frag all corals, but like 90% of them you can.
Damn.
So it's pretty.
That's cool, man. That's hella
Yeah, man,
cool.
it's just, it's just one of those things that you think you learn something, but then you unlearn 10 things, and it's just one of those never-ending like learning processes. And that's kind of like the things I get addicted to in the world is like somewhere
No
to like
doubt.
lose my mind. Yeah,
I agree, man. Figuring out problems feels good, man. Like we do our
yeah,
test calls on Wednesday nights and sometimes it's just me and Mitch, but I'm like happy to handle some shit and troubleshoot it and make sure it works better. You know what I mean? Like, it
yeah,
makes me feel good.
yeah. Making things.
So my next cookie cutter question: what is your opinion on the cannabis industry in Oregon now?
Well, I think it's getting a lot better there for a while. It was just so it was just ridiculous the way it like opened up. I mean, it was just everyone knew the shit was coming, but no one like it was kind of like somebody telling you the world's gonna end, and like somebody tells you the world's gonna end in 20, 30 years. No one's gonna prepare for that shit. The like people were like going hard, like just like thinking, I don't know, reality wasn't like right, with everybody kind of like had all their guns in, everyone was in, and it wasn't cool there for the first couple of years. It was shitty for everyone. The pot got real shitty because no one could even afford to grow it right or like pay employees to like a wage to like keep them happy enough to grow good flowers, and shit. It was tough there for a couple of years, but I think the things are getting easier though in the last 6 to 9 months in the rec game. That's for sure.
That's dope. That's dope. I think that once federal legalization happens, then that shit is gonna like Oregon's gonna blow back up. It'll jump back up to 32 a p. Everybody's gonna be like, "Fuck, like whatever, bro. We're
Right.
shipping it everywhere. We're getting ours. You know what I mean? You can grab it or not. Like because
Bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Thing to see how it shakes out. That's for sure.
definitely. I mean, so
yeah,
many companies too were like that was the mentality right when it went rec. When if they were a company that had a rec license ready to go, it was well, I'm gonna get mine. I remember when Willamette Valley Alchemy first coming on the concentrate scene. They were one of the first rec licensed processors, and they had. They were selling like $90 grams of live resin, like $80 grams of just mediocre trim run shatter. And then once more companies came on board, that definitely went down. And now I think they sell literally the same type of oil that they sold for 80 a gram 2 years ago. They're selling it for like 20 a gram out the door.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Shit's the bottom fell out for
The
sure.
bottom fell out for sure.
Yeah. And like I mean like it showed like though where how far it can be pushed. Like how far can you push these guys before like everything is totally crap. Like
Yep,
how I don't know.
exactly.
And then a lot of people just instead of playing that game just folded, and like that's pretty much what I did. Like I folded up. I wasn't gonna play in that fucking game.
No
It made me
yeah,
choice.
angry.
Absolutely.
I was angry for like 2 years over all that crap, dude. It took time away from me, dude. It was just bad
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But like the good guys
So
are gonna
you,
make it through. And Geek and Pat and those guys and Hound Dog, those guys are all gonna make it through because they got a good damn product. And that's all that's really gonna determine like I go into the dispensary, there's like a handful of farms that like I'll even entertain like even wanting to smell their jars, let alone buy some weed, you know.
yeah,
So the
yeah.
good guys will win. And the more people smoke, the more that they learn quality. So the
No
market's
doubt.
pretty undeveloped, you know, like as far as the smoker goes.
I
Yep, the
agree.
average Oregon consumer fucking suck. They
Yeah.
suck. They just want the highest THC shit. They don't care about like looking or being educated or hearing about other things. It's just like, all right, here's your fucking 28% joint. Get on your way.
Yeah. Here's the 28% shit that tastes like campfire.
Exactly. It
Smoke
tastes
coming
like
off.
fucking campfire.
Campfire.
It's just like it's like, do you use these same taste buds when you're at a nice restaurant or you're comparing food? Like, what? Just don't get it.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so
Yeah. I don't.
my next cookie cutter question, Joey, is what is your favorite strain to run and why?
You guys know. I mean, my favorite thing to run was always been Scooby because I like smoking the shit out of it. You know, I
Yeah,
like the
Yeah,
yeah.
fuck yeah.
I like the way the
Same,
plant
dude.
grows too. You know, it's just it doesn't get too tall. It's not like super demanding of anything. It's just like, what do you want me to do? Like you can just, you know, and that thing turns out good every time. I'm consistent
Yeah.
with it. You know, it's you know, I think some things like the way people, even maybe it's the nutrient line or the way that some strains just work better with totally different environments. You know, and Scooby just works well in my environment. I like growing that, and the newest thing is that Mac One cutting. I'm actually been smoking that over Scooby right now because it doesn't. At the end of the day, I can still stand up straight. I smoke Scooby all day long. 8 o'clock, and you know, like I feel like I'm off kiltered. You know,
Yeah.
so it's a
Yeah,
little. It's
I
still
kind
potent.
of
You know? It's just potent or in a different way. It gets me kind of like amped up and wanting to do things. You know, it gets me getting shit done.
No
totally. I have a
doubt.
question kind of branching off that. I know you're a flower guy, but would you ever, I mean, have you ever considered like running a room or running plants into like either solventless or solvent-based concentrates, or is it just something that you don't want to, necessarily ruin the integrity of the flower because it's already so dank?
I don't. I mean, like I got a buddy that made a whole. You know, like I don't do. You know, like he gets one plant. You know, he took a Scooby plant
Yeah.
and he squeezed it down. Or he washed it. He ice washed it or bubble bagged it. You know, with ice water hash, and then he put
Hmm.
it in a freeze dryer and squeezed it in his rosin press. And it's Scooby, of course. And this shit is like, you know, I don't do a lot of dabs. I have probably one dab a month, but dude, like that shit, you have a
Same.
dab of that, it's so good. It tastes so good,
Hell
and it gets
yeah.
your heart like just boom, 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 boom for about 10 minutes, and then for about an hour, I want to lay down and like do nothing now, you know. So I don't do a lot of dabs, but it's good. People
Totally,
like this shit.
totally.
I just think it's, you know, I got a little jar right
Uh,
here in front of me, and it literally looks like somebody like hawked a clear loogie in the freaking jar. You know, I, it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's crazy stuff.
yeah, yeah, totally.
But yeah, I understand like people like my better half, she's like so into these essential oils, you know, not cannabis essential oils, but like, you know, like just lavender, and she's got this whole freaking book and like this whole box that she opens up, and it's like the Wizard of Oz in there for oils, you know, and like I understand like, man, these cannabis oils, they ain't even getting, you know, like that shit's clear, and like I think there's a lot to be found out about these cannabis like terps yet that we don't even know
Definitely,
anything about. Yeah.
definitely.
That's the same thing like with the coral reefs. It's like, dude, like that's what's awesome about it, because no matter what you know, you can sit there and think you know all this shit, but you don't know. You're at the mercy of something that's living. You have no
Yep.
idea
Yeah.
what's going on.
Fucking A, dude.
At the end of the day, that it has a mind of its own.
Yeah, yeah. I think, you know, like I really think there's something to do with like the seasons and the moonful of stuff, even on indoor crops. And I think that's, you know, like why some crops are just banger and some aren't, and you know the inputs are always a little bit varied. You know, there's so much variance.
Definitely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. I guess this isn't a cookie cutter question, but we've asked guests before. One I talked about it for a while. What do you think about Phylos Bioscience?
Shit, I think that's a bunch of crooked shit, dude. I mean, I don't know. You know, I'm not a judge. I do got to go jury duty on July 3rd, though, so I might as well get used to judging somebody here. But I don't. But you know, like I felt creeped out. You know, like I worked out to Pat to Heroes when they come out there one time, and like there was one lady that was all nice and shit, but like I never trusted this thing. It was like Playboy, or I think it was an article in Playboy like 3 years ago had some fucking article about. It wasn't even directly about Phylos, but about something. And I read this like taking a shit one morning, and it like freaked me out. I never trusted Phylos because like I think it might have been like connected or some shit, but dude, those guys
Damn.
just seem like the beast, you know. But
Yeah. No doubt,
I don't know.
man.
It's like if they played everyone, it just seems like they played everyone. It's like straight up played
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone, and
dude.
like
Yep, and
Yeah.
it's
no
like
respect.
that's what they planned on the whole time. It's like not like, oh well, yeah, they came about and they like what we were doing, and yeah, and I had an opportunity to sell the company. It's like, no, I think you fucking knew what you were doing the whole time. Your whole
Yeah.
intention was to sell out everyone that's ever put strain information into your database, and pretty much just steal all that information. And fucking use it for your advantage. And it almost seems like a fucking movie. I can't believe it happened, but there's shitty
Yeah.
ass
Dude,
people
man.
in this world.
Dude,
Yeah.
we humans are naive as fuck. You know, myself included. We are a bunch of naive motherfuckers. Like, dude,
Yep.
I don't know. It's just you know, I don't know. It's
I agree.
what it is. Yeah.
Man, because
We're
I thought they were cool
we're-
too, dude.
Yeah.
I thought they were
Mm,
I tried to sell homies on the sex test, like, yo, you don't even have to flip them or do like you just fucking cut off a leaf and send it in. And it just
yeah.
not the same, dude. I was like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting too, because it's like people who put their complete faith in them. Like Lion Tree Farms. Like literally every year, Lion Tree is submitted all their female clones to Phylos to get information to decide what they were gonna run outdoor that year. So
Dude,
Jeez.
yeah.
So,
damn.
are these people gonna sue these fuckers?
I hope
I don't
so.
know.
I
I
don't
hope
know.
so
I don't know
too.
how the case is progressing, but I mean, this
Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking
because
Mowgli dude. Fuck Mowgli.
yeah, it's bad, man. Like I'm like, damn. People should,
I
because it's
think that they're
that's
probably playing for the long haul. They're probably playing for the long game and think like in 5 years that this will all be forgotten about. And hell, who knows? You know, in 5 years you'll probably be buying cigarettes at the gas station. You know, too.
Hmm.
So, fuck it.
yeah. I will not be buying cigarettes at the gas station, but yeah,
No,
they
but I mean,
will be available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or you're buying like the strain you used to grow from what's now Phylos or whatever. It's like, well, fuck. There was that one that
yeah,
I
but
gave to you. Or
that's the
Yeah,
thing though with
dude.
cannabis. Like, that, good luck going and like producing some good weed, like a whole bunch of it. You know, like it's hard as fuck. And like the more automation these people put in and shit, the shittier the weed is. You know, like then you
yep,
end up with just like sterile like environments and sterile root rhizopheres and shit. That shit you're never gonna get no flavor out of that. So like the people that smoke for
Fucking
flavor are
A.
never gonna
Dude,
be happy.
thank you for
yep.
You know?
saying that, brother. Thank you for saying that, man. Like, I dig Jungle Boy's IG feed and shit because it's like, holy fuck, that looks like a 3 pound plant and a goddamn 6 inch Rockwell cube, you know? Like, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
it probably fucking doesn't taste like shit, dude. You know what I
I,
mean? Like,
I
I
got
don't know.
zero love for Jungle Boys.
I'm like, I don't
I
care
think
what you
they
put
grow
in
some.
there. Like that's sterile, and it probably fucking tastes like whatever your nutrients smell like. You know what I mean?
I think
Yeah, like
Jungle
salt.
Boys is a fallacy. They grow some complete mids. I mean, hey, good for them. They know they definitely got some knowledge. They know how to, cultivate a lot of plants in one room and not avoid total crop failure. But man, I've smoked some of their herb a few years ago. Complete mids, pretty much no flavor. watered
Dude,
down,
it
and they're
looks
just
freaking
ignorant too. They block anyone that goes against them. I said something controversial on one of their posts. They blocked me. It's like, fuck those. There's clowns to me, at least in my opinion.
Did the weed look good?
The weed looked okay, but the literal, it was a bag of, I think it was glue keys, so Gorilla Glue and cookies, and it was
Yeah.
like the biggest nug in the bag was probably like 0.3 or 0.4 of half a gram, a little less than half a gram, and it had pretty much no terp profile. It was handled to shit. You can always tell when like herb has been so handled that the trichomes are just so compressed into the bud. It's like, well, how many different hands did this pass through? And it was just something I didn't even want to like smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also,
I got somebody at that Hydro Expo that was in Portland like 2-3 years ago. I think it was like this Tiger Trees guy, maybe somebody, but he had
Oh,
this weed. I think it was gelato, if I look back. But dude, like he handed me this nug, and it was looking at it, it was the best or the best weed I'd ever like been in possession of when I put it in my hand. And
mm-hmm.
like I was with like Billy Braveheart and my buddy Jer, and I think like Ray, like Ray from Homegrown Natural Wonders, Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And like I got all excited, like, dude, we got to go outside and burn this thing, because like I was excited as fuck. And we go out, we packed up a pipe, or I think it was 2 pipes, and we passed it around. And nobody said anything. And it's like I was like, so what do you guys think? And like, dude, like it's just like that. It was like such a letdown. Like it was like it had absolutely
Yep.
no flavor. I was inhaling smoke coming off of a fucking campfire. It had no flavor,
Yep.
and it was like I'm to like finally get the golden ticket in my hand, and then like, oh, wah wah wah. I was bummed.
Yep. And it's funny you mentioned that after that, because Tiger Trees, and I don't give a shit. I don't hold back on this show, but
let it rip,
Tiger
Will.
Trees is another person I'll be vocal. I am not a fan of at all. They are a breeder. They call themselves a breeder, or whoever runs it, and the dude literally he selects one male, and then he throws all of these elite females into that male, doesn't test them out, and then sells them as like a huge list of seeds.
Well, that's
And
90%
it's
of
like, it's true. But it's like for a while it was bothering me because like people were really buying it. People were like, "Oh, that sounds fire." It's like, you guys not even like realize what he's doing. He's just throwing all this shit into his mail that he likes and then selling it for $120 a pack. It's like, fucking A.
Hey, dude, here's some good shit we can talk about. Are we on like a time crunch or anything?
Hell
We're
no,
talking about
dude.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, let it rip, bro. Whatever you want, pig farmer. Like we
like,
got you, bro.
I've always been a clone grower because of the sheer fact of like I've seen what seed used to be, and like seed is a freaking crapshoot at best today. Like yeah, there's good gems to find, but like somebody running a medical garden, or even a big medical garden, like you can go on a pheno hunt. Like good luck finding something. I've spent thousands of dollars one winter going through seeds, and like nothing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like not just one breeder, like 5 breeders. I ain't gonna name names, but it's like I kept nothing. There's good shit, like there's good shit that comes out of that stuff, but like it's like pulling a needle out of a haystack, and I ain't got time for that shit.
Exactly.
But so back like when I used to buy seeds, like I started buying seeds in like '97 because I knew I was gonna start when I got like my own pad and shit, and so I collected like probably 6 packs of seeds, and like back then, dude, that was a shitload of seeds to me, and then I read about growing, and I got on the web forums, and like I met like like people like Chem Dog and fucking Subcool at the time, and like Duke Diamond Diesel, and there's some good people, dude, and like no one like talked shit on each other, and everybody was cool with each other and shit because everyone had their ass to watch, like you don't go fucking pissing people off when you got your ass to watch. So that's what's wrong with the game today. Like you don't have their ass to watch anymore. But going back to the seed thing, so like, dude, these seeds that like were coming into me like from probably like '97 to like I think it was about 2000, where there was this guy like Gypsy Nirvana that we were all getting our seeds through, and like there was this old grower called Bushy Old Grower, and like Grateful Tree had seeds and shit, and like this guy was like, you know, supposedly selling all his seeds for those years, and he was doing good, but then he got greedy, I think, or something, and something happened, and like he got all the Bushy Old Grower stuff and rebred it all and made like F2s and like started selling it out. And dude, like ever since like that day hit, like the seed game fucking changed, dude. Like I used to grow seeds and not even know what I was doing, and I get everything was a keeper. You know, like the
Yeah.
serious seeds 1887s from 1997. Like if I still had those phenos like today and they like didn't, you know, get old or anything, those things were special, like super special. And you know, they were all so alike. And I don't know. I remember growing a Grateful Tree had like Casey Jones pack, and dude, like that thing was like at the time like three ways. You know, it was like Billy Goat's Orient Express and like Trainwreck and Sour Diesel put together. And dude, there was like few phenos, you know, like 3-4 phenos, but all them phenos was just like, oh my god, yeah, they were good.
Yeah.
And I lost all them clones like in a power outage in Iowa. We lost power like in the middle of winter for like 18 days, dude, and I lost all them old cuts then.
Ah,
Fuck.
fuck.
Dude, when the power like come
Damn.
back on, listen to this shit. When the power come back on, I was growing in an old basement, and like when the power come back on, and like the pipe busted in the basement because it was like starting to thaw back on, and fucking I go down, and you know at the time I had a 400-watt metal halide ballast sitting under a foot of standing water with the fucking light
Oh,
still on, dude.
Damn.
oh.
Yeah.
That's cool to
Oh
know
man,
it
like I
still
you know,
worked,
thankfully
man.
I was just
Fuck.
probably in the water, but you know, like that fucking ballast was still lighting that light bulb when it was 100% submerged underwater, and it blew my mind.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember nothing like what like that story, but me and my roommates tried to grow a crop back in our senior year of college, and we literally I remember we had to our landlord was trying to sell the house, so we had to do these like spur of the moment like house tours and house showings and get the house ready, and we had like fucking 15 plants finishing up in the basement, and we had to like literally it was so stressful. We had to rent a U-Haul, move everything out to the U-Haul for like a day or two, and then move it back in. Like pretty much
Was it
tear
a
down the
grow?
whole operation. What's
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh
Yep.
yeah, your whole grow. Yeah.
Whole grow, and
Yeah, dude,
they
I
survived. They did okay. They managed the darkness in the U-Haul for a day fine, and it turned out fine. But that shit was stressful.
oh yeah, this was like in 2001 back in it's no more like probably it's more like 2005. I got caught in Iowa with two fucking clones in my car, and like I knew I was probably going, you know, like they were gonna find out where I lived and search my shit. So like I called my old man, and like I'm getting pulled over, like go home. Like he never had no idea what I was doing. You know, I was like go upstairs in the
Mm.
fucking farmhouse, like get rid of the shit. So you know, like he took them plants down and hauled them, dumped them into a million gallons of pig shit, and saved my ass that time. But they never ended up coming. But like, dude, I got PTSD from that time, and then like one other time, like,
Yeah.
dude, like it was the same thing. You know, I was like growing this UK cheese cut, and you could smell it, even over the pig shit. You could smell it clear out by like our mailbox.
Oh, yeah,
Mm.
But I
UK cheese.
driveway, there's a fucking sheriff's car parked in my driveway, and I live down in the middle of nowhere. You know, like you could see for miles because it was like all cornfields. You know, and there was no crop in the fields. But so I like ducked down and just like let him knock, and he left. And when he left, dude, like I literally tore down. I think it was only like a 3 light grow at that point, but I tore down everything and had it in my truck, and like went heading out of my farm. And as I turned the corner, dude, that motherfucker's coming back right at me, dude. And like I think he's gonna pull me
Damn.
over. And like he doesn't pull me over, but man, I just like gassed it, and like it was the year of the flood in Iowa. I think it was like 2004 or whatever. But I fucking drove to this bridge with this raging water and just chucked like bongs, plants, everything out of the back of this truck and trailer right into this raging river. And never got busted, dude. But that was when I got the fuck out of
Yeah,
Fuck, I guess,
some
man.
slick
Goddamn.
maneuvers there. Very slick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I caught felony possession charges my senior year of college in Idaho, and
Ooh.
it fucking sucked, dude. Like it kept me out there for 2 more years after I graduated. I had to plead guilty, but I had to wait until I got my last semester of funding, and the judge let me finish school. Still had to sit 30 days, and I was on probation for like 2 years after that. So I didn't get to Oregon till like 2010, because like right around '08, my cousin started growing medical, and it was just like, I thought you had to have cancer or some shit or AIDS or something to get your medical card. And he was like, nah, I got it. He's like, I'm growing for myself and other patients. And that's what inspired me to get out there and get it cracking. But that's my shitty story about running in with cops. Like it was like it's crazy because it was 14 zips, right? Like it was a couple zips short of a pack, and when it
What year
showed
was
up
it?
on the 2008, it was like in
Yeah.
February 2008, and
Uh-huh. Fuck. Yeah.
the report that came back from their lab, it was like they said it was only 13.6, and I was like, that's a pretty big sample, you guys. Like you guys probably pinched a couple nugs, and it just, I don't know, man. That was the bummer for me. And after like I got to Portland, like there was a bunch of jobs that I crushed interviews on, and guys wanted to hire me, but corporate wouldn't because I had that charge on my record. So
Oh,
I just kind of
man.
had to go full bore with the nugs anyway. You know what I mean? It's like I can get my card and I can grow for myself. And then I figured out that my uncle had moved from Cali to Seattle, and I worked for him and learned a lot about indoor. But after working for him, I just decided I wanted to grow outside. You know what I mean? Just for the cost at least. But I always appreciate craft indoor cannabis. You know what I mean?
Right on. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to think that, like, dude, there's still people sitting in jail, like, for life sentences and shit for weed, right? Like,
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
bro. Hell yeah. It is,
it's so
man. Like
it's straight up wrong. I don't know. It's just, I can't believe it's like, it's still a gray area, especially, and there's gonna be for fuck what 2, 3 more years probably, honestly. And like, I don't even know if it'll
yeah.
even go away. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
that's my thing, bro, is I like they changed the medical laws in AZ to where lab testing is required to be on the shelf at a dispensary, which is cool. And your card is good
yep.
for 2 years, which is cool. But they didn't okay home cultivation. Like to cultivate for yourself, you have to live 25 miles from a dispensary, or find a
Which
patient
is
that,
so whack.
yeah, or find a patient that lives that far away and grow for them, which is hard to do. And so
That
if it does go rec in this state or nationwide, if it's rec federally, I just want people to be able to grow their own. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I don't want
Definitely. I mean, if weed is
because I don't.
legal federally, you can't grow your own weed. That is some fucked up shit to think about.
I, I
Yep.
agree because I
They
forcing
tell
people.
you, I
That's
mean,
what.
I guess like in Cali, they tell you you can't grow your own tomatoes and shit, don't they? Try to tell you that shit down or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. What like when I crossed the border into Cali from Oregon when I moved down here, like it was a fucking huge checkpoint and there was cops everywhere and I was fucking scared because I had fucking
Everyone's
packs,
still
bro. You
hiding
know
the
what I mean?
paraphernalia at that point. All the
Dude, I
the
was
freaking pipes through there, bags of weed getting shoved
dude,
under the chair.
dude, I was fucking scared, bro. Like I had everything triple sealed and stashed deep, but I was like, fuck, there's no going around this. You know what I mean?
I
And when
wonder
I
how
rolled
many millions, I wonder how many millions of pounds of weed went through that checkpoint, dude.
probably a
Millions.
lot, dog. Because I rolled down the window and I didn't smoke anything the whole trip. And the lady was just like, "Do you have any produce with you?" And I was like, no. She was like, "Okay,
Yeah,
you're through." You know, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh my god, thank you.
yeah. As long as you don't have any apples, they won't shake you down.
No doubt. Yeah, that's what they were looking for. Like. Are you bringing any outside genetics into our ecosystem? Because that's illegal. We'll have to search your car, sir. Shit. So, can I ask a story like about it was like the 98 the purple, the 98 perp or something that was on the shelf at Natural Wonders for a while?
Oh, the 89
Oh,
hash plant
89 hash plant,
or
that's what it
88 hash
was.
plant, 88 G13 hash plant.
Yeah. Can you talk about that, bro? Like where did you get that cut and how did that like that
dude.
to me,
So,
like
so
when I tell people, like that's what perp smells like. Like that's what purple smells like is that weed right there. Like if you
yeah,
otherwise they they turn the AC down and just turned it that way. Otherwise that's fucking it right there.
yeah, dude. Yeah, like I don't know, dude. Yeah, it's kind of got from Duke Diamond. Like he lived out in Oregon for probably like 6 to 9 months, and when I gave him at the time I was running like a Goji OG plant, and like I gave it to him, and like he got ready to move back to Colorado, or he went to Colorado from here, and he brought me like these 3 Goji plants back because he like was gonna have to kill them. He's like, "Hey, do you want these?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And so I take them, and like shit, I wasn't like paying that close attention to them until like it was like day 30, and Goji is usually like lime green the whole time you grow it, and like this purple is turning purple, and I'm like, what in the frick is going on here? So like my first thought was like, definitely like clone tags got mixed up, so I like called my buddy Duke Diamond, and I was like, dude, what the hell do you got going here? Like I started explaining to him. He's like, oh no. I'm like, what? And like he tells me what it is. It's this 88 G13 hash plant, and like then he's like, hey, I'll call you back. I think he told me, and he's like, okay. So like he called me back, and he just like cleared it with the guy for me to have it. So like it was a protected
Yeah, I
cut,
was
and
about
I
to say, it's right.
make
You're not supposed
he
to.
Yeah.
made sure that he made sure that I could have it. So he called me back. He's like, yeah, just don't give it away. But at the time, I had already had veg plants of it, which I had given away to people like freaking that I thought was Goji OG to like Hound Dog and like Billy Braveheart and like Pat and people. I think those were the only 3 people that got it, and then like so I had to call and like tell these guys to cut these plants down. They couldn't have them anymore, of course. And I don't think anybody's got it anymore. Honestly, like dude, I don't have it anymore. I know Pat don't have it anymore, and I know Billy, and I don't think Hound Dog has it anymore. But I don't, I
Mm-mm.
don't keep up with it. But dude, like for me,
From
it
what
was
I,
great and everything. But it started herming and seeding whole crop. Like I'd always run like just a plant or 2 here or there because it just yielded so little. And like frick, you're selling like a plant that you're getting half as much, for the same amount of money. It kind of makes it not really even like
Yeah.
those were the days. It like wasn't even like worth doing. So like it started like seeding crops, like the lowers would like pop off pollen sacs and seed shit. So I didn't want to keep it around for that sheer reason. And some people loved it. It was the most aesthetically pleasing cannabis I've seen, but it was unstable, and I didn't keep it around for that reason.
reminded me a lot of Purple Mr. Night. Very
Yeah, the Mr.
similar
Nice.
look.
Yeah. I've heard people say
Yeah.
some shit about some UW cut, I think from up in like Washington.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep,
Too. I've
that's the
never seen.
smell of purple too. That's what it smells like, man.
You
Um so, I think Will had a question about your curing process. Can you ask that question, Will? We talked
Oh
about this
yeah.
last episode, bro.
Yeah.
But
You
Will,
can
you
you can
gotta
talk
ask that.
about it. If, you can talk about it if you want or not, Joey. But I remember when I visited your grow a few years back that you had a pretty like ultra quick or quicker way than most people do to like cure your buds while also not doing it too rapidly to make them harsh. Yeah, you can
Well,
if you want you can talk on that for.
yeah. Well, I mean, I still like dry 'em. Like I still hang. I cut
Oh,
plants down and
totally.
hang them for like 10 to 12 days. Before they ever get trimmed. But once they get trimmed, like freaking people want. Like, dude, the thing is, if you don't want to smoke your weed when you take it down, you're probably not going to want to smoke it when it cures because, like, to me, if
Right.
somebody tells
Yep.
you it needs
Fucking
to
A,
cure,
man.
it usually means the fucking weed sucks. You know, like, oh, sorry, it needs to cure. Yeah, thanks for the shitty weed, man. Is what it kind of means. You know,
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and I
Goddamn
was
right.
yeah, I was
Goddamn
just
right.
saying that too because like I remember you gave us like I think you gave us a sample off the line that was like had only been drying for 3 days and I tried it. I'm like, this is more cured, like this is more ready to go than like 80% of the shit I've smoked off our shelves.
yeah. And a lot of that is strain dependent too. You know, like that Mac one, it does need some time to sit and like fester. But like Scooby, like
Yeah.
dude, you can light it on fire and it tastes great.
Yep. Fuck yeah.
Word.
Burn, you know.
So,
But
did you
yeah, I
ever
always
run?
just put it in. I put somebody showed me some trick. You know, I used to just put turkey bags and then tie off the top of turkey bags and shit. But then like how I always do it because they don't stay around long. You know, like I put turkey bags in 5-gallon buckets and seal the top of the bucket, and then you got your little turkey bag that's the liner. You know, and I
Yeah.
just it's easy to put buckets that way. You know, like I burp them like 3 times and shit, it's ready to go.
Fuck
Oh yeah.
yeah, the 19-inch turkey bags, man, or the buddy bag, the buddy bags on Amazon, bro. You get like 100 of them for $60. Those are the shit, and they're like
Yeah.
super tall like that too, man. Like I love those things. So, what other kind of short stories do you want to share with us, Joey,
Oh, I guess
Mister
we
Pig
never even
Farmer?
went over the seed thing, though. You know, I guess we did go completely over the seed thing. So yeah, man, it seems like
Keep,
like
yeah, dude,
I've
let it
grown
rip,
a
bro.
lot of
Keep going,
seeds.
man.
I've grown a lot of seeds since those days, and I've never found a plant that I personally have grown from seed and wanted to keep and grow more of. And
Uh,
like to me, that's a disappointment, really, for me. And I think it should be for everybody. Like, like they say like 2% of apple seeds are palatable by like to grow for palatable for the human. The cannabis plant's probably the same way. But I don't know. But so where I was going, I don't remember where I was going with that. Smoking that white taco cookie and got all fucking lost. But uh, yeah,
yeah, we're
I'll have to finish.
talking about seeds, and how you're more of a clone grower.
Oh yeah, that's not where I was at. Oh, fuck, I forgot, dude. But yeah, anyway,
Where
it'll
you're
come to me in a second. Yeah.
okay.
What
So,
what did you what you just asked me?
I was just asking you if you want to share any more stories, bro. You can talk about whatever you want, Pig Farmer.
Shit, dude, where was I going with that? Dang it.
You were
I'll
like
rewatch this.
elaborating. You're elaborating on the seed
Oh yeah, so like
deal you
like
were
these
on earlier.
like these new phenos, I don't think that a lot of them get passed around or like ever really like even keepers to begin with. I think they are because of like the so like there's nothing better. And it used to be so much good stuff come from seed. Like I didn't even know how to grow. I didn't even know how to clone until I ran out of those first original good seeds that I had, and then I started getting that seed after like 2002. And the seed was just bunk. I went from growing like 12-ounce plants, in like 10-gallon pots to like getting like 2-3 ounces of just like crap, dude. And like it was Boggs genetics and shit that used to be fire, that was then all crappy. And I think too, what a lot of it is, like back then we were getting seed that was, pretty much not land race to land race, or maybe it was, was the shit hadn't been all bred out. Like think of like dogs, like how many times do you breed dogs before you start getting mutts? It's
Yeah.
like I think we're getting a whole bunch of mutts. The gene pool has been just so scattered. You know.
I agree, but sometimes, bro, like as far as humans go, the mutt females look
Oh
beautiful.
yeah, these find them. They're
You know what I
treasures,
mean?
man. Like, yeah, they're some
Yeah, I'm
treasures.
like,
Yeah. I will say
yeah.
I absolutely have to agree on this. 'Cause on a slightly sad note, I have like an older dog who's a yellow lab, and she's around just shy of 10 years old, 9.5 years old, and her back legs are shot. Like she can
Oh,
barely pull herself up on them. She can walk on them a bit, but the quality of life's definitely declining there. And I'm kind of confused because the last dog I'd owned, at least like the last I'd heard, dogs should live till at least 12, 13, 14, and slowly these like purebred or these more like single bred um varieties are, they have way lower life expectancies. And the vet was telling me the other day, I- I've watched labs go from 14 years old, around 14 years old when they passed, to now it's around 9 or 10 because they're so overbred. And
yeah.
it's
Yeah, I had
heartbreaking.
a black lab that made it like 11 and a half years. I put him down like 2 summers
Hmm.
ago. Same thing, the
Yeah,
front
Word.
legs went out. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
And that I
dogs are
remember that was
awesome.
that was the dog that's been like through every harvest with you, right?
Oh yeah, for like a lot of them. Not every harvest, but a lot of them, dude.
Hmm.
I got pictures way back when he was a pup. Way
Yeah.
back. Like old school bong. I got a picture of him like at the old kitchen table, like with an old school bong, like in one of those. It almost looked like a lampshade.
Word. Okay, so
Like,
I got a related question to seeds and genetics. When I worked at Natural Wonders, we had this blueberry that was on the shelf from Pig Farm, and it was more of like a sativa dominant phenotype, dude, and it didn't test high, but the terps were like bam, like in your face, you know what I mean? And people
yeah,
would
you
come
did that.
in.
You ever
What
think
what
it was?
like what perplexed people who were purchasing is that it was listed as like an indica on Leafly at the time. And so it was like, and it wasn't such a blueberry profile. It was different, bro. And so it was just like, damn, man, like
I vaguely
you
remember that strain.
yeah, you couldn't deny the fire, you know what I mean? And so it just people were like, "Oh, it's only like 14, 15%." I'm like, "Dude, this shit's bomb. If you got to go to work, smoke a joint of this shit, you'll be fucking great." You know what I mean? And a lot of those
That was that shit had a
the
good buzz to it.
yeah, dude, like can you talk about that a little bit? Like was it did you assume it was going to be an indica too? Cuz it was. It was hella
Oh,
daytimey and upbeat, you know
you
what I
guys
mean?
have had blueberry, like I mean that thing. I pretty much like 99% know that's DJ Stewart's blueberry cut, but when I think of blueberry, I think of some blueberry weed I used to get back in like the late '90s, early 2000s. That was straight up like blueberries, man. Like it was blueberry, like blueberry muffin.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
shit wasn't blue.
same. It wasn't, it
That
was
that blueberry.
different, bro. So, like, selling it, I had to be like, "What? This is the," like, I have to big up you as a cultivator and just be like, "Man, this would be more daytime smoke if you have to, if you have to
Yeah,
go to work or something," and it just I had to get
yeah.
creative with it, but it was just like, "Yo, the shit is fucking fire. I know you're expecting something else, but this is it." You know what I mean?
It's just another one of those old cuts that like it has its place and everything, but man, like trying to sell that in the illegal market, it's just like taking sand at the beach, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a death sentence.
No
Yeah,
doubt,
but
no
that's
doubt.
just good for like anxiety and just like a good overall good feeling. It's like kind of like sunshine feeling. A good
Yeah,
feeling when it
man.
hits your inner spine, your inner
Yes.
receptors.
Yeah, sunshine in a bag, man. Do you
So yeah, that was the actual BB4 blueberry cut, but man, it sure wasn't blueberry, was it? I don't know what the fuck it was, but
yeah, it was tight, bro. It was tight. Like like what sort of like do you keep like a veg room where you save certain cuts, or like do you like how do you library your shit, man? Do you just find
yeah,
something you like and keep running in it? You keep running
yeah,
what you like, or
yeah. That's what I try to do. Like, if I don't want to smoke this shit, like I don't want to like even like try to like. expect somebody else to want to smoke it, really. But that I fall short in that category because I don't like very many weeds. I got like probably 10, 12 flavors I got access to, and I'll smoke 3 of them maybe at most, 3 to 4.
Word.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I'm
that
picky.
leads me
What
that
favorite
leads me to
smoking
my
something?
question. So that's it. We got a question from Mitchell in production. What is Pig Farmer's favorite strain to smoke, and what growers aside from you do you prefer?
Right on. So, what was the first part of the question?
What is Pig Farmer's favorite strain to smoke, and what growers aside from himself does he prefer?
Right now, my favorite strain of smoke is probably White Tahoe Cookie. Not my favorite strain to grow, but my favorite strain of smoke. But I got a GMO cookie that's at like 48 days, and I think that this thing like it hermed early, dude. So I cut off all the lowers, and it hasn't rehermed. But other than that, like I got high hopes for this thing. But it had
Nice.
some. I've heard of some other people growing with this thing. Like I think the guy that I got it from was a hydro grower. Like he grew it on I think the 3-part like GH, and I didn't really know what to think of organics the first time. I think, but like after you run it a while, it'll hopefully come out of it. But I don't think it pollinated anything because I got them all off there by like 20 days, and they never grew back, and all the white hairs are still like reaching. Like no hairs turned brown or anything. So I think she's good to
Word.
go. And I smoked some Resin Ranchers GMO cookie, and that's what got me like onto that. And I think they grow with like cutting edge solutions. So that's like I was real surprised to
Yeah,
like it.
that's old school, bro. Like when my uncle went wreck in Seattle in 2014, I came and helped him trim his first crop, and it was like 3 or 4 different stores came in while we were trimming and looked at what we were doing, and they bought it all before we were done. And it was like the first, and I was like, "Holy shit!" At like 4 a p. And so I was like hella impressed at the hustle, But one of those guys from one of those stores had a hooded sweatshirt that said "Cutting Edge Solutions" on it. And I was like, that guy knows what's up, man. You know what I mean? He has something going on at home, and that's
Yeah.
dope. That like
They smoked some good like Pat of Heroes, like before he started growing with Nectar, he used to grow really good weed on cutting edge. I think he'd put a little of the Nectar's bone meal on with it, but he used to grow really good weed of cutting edge. His wife, I think, did it too a few times. I remember the best dog walker I ever smoked, I think, was his wife grew it on cutting edge with bone meal.
damn, hell yeah, yeah. My uncle in SEA, he used to run Botanicare. So like I
Yeah.
would use that liquid. I used that liquid karma shit in my tea that first year I made my soil, and I feel like it helped out a lot. That was the only thing I used synthetic, but just like
Liquid Karma though, that's Botanicare now. They Botanicare sucks now because
Botanicare.
it's
Yeah,
fucking watered.
Botanicare.
yeah,
They
I
fucking
used to.
blow. I remember
That's
Yeah.
using like their sweet line when I worked for a bit in the rec industry and or at a rec farm, and I had never the person I was working for, I was like, yeah, they know a lot more than me, but this like just mixing that up and putting just the little minute amount of sweet we used, I was just like, man, this doesn't seem legit. This doesn't seem like the stuff here.
Yeah, yeah, you can
Just had
look up most of the recipes are available like online if you dig deep enough now, and like you can see like you can make most of that shit that those people offer for like
mhm.
stupid cheap. So
Yeah.
there's
yeah,
a lot of people, like mixing their own salts now and shit, and I like to see that. Even now the salt growers is like at least they're not giving advanced nutrients their fucking money anymore. You know.
Definitely.
yeah. You
Definitely.
can taste advance too, bro. It's like even if you guys flush this for
Advance is the
10 days, but I
worst.
can still taste it, and it's still sparking a little bit. So I'm
Advanced
just like,
nutrients,
man.
cough, cough, Eastwood Gardens.
Yeah. Like the Home Depot here, like man, you can literally go to the grow section and buy like an AB salt fertilizer, like the clear liquid. It's like Home Depot, like fucking Blue May and fucking B, Those are nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like an orange,
Yeah, it's basic
orange
shit.
shit.
It's almost like
Yeah.
growing weed for dummies. Like you have the money, you have the space, you have the lights, but here's your nutrients for dummies. Part A, part
Yeah.
B. It's like,
Yeah. Dude, when I first
so we
started
have.
growing, I used to have to drive I'd do a rental car because I'd have to drive to like a different state away to get shit. And like the cops would like stake out grow shops, dude, for their license plate. So I always like get somebody to get a rental car and then I would drive the fucker, you know. So it was
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
Like even like trying to go to a hydro store was a task in its own, like in a fear event.
No
Yeah, it's
doubt.
like things
Yeah.
that we think about in like growers today. Don't think twice about was like a big mission back in the day. It's like,
Fucking A. Like, yeah. For
I
for
think the
me,
first time I came to Oregon, it was like 2007 or 8 maybe, and like I was in a grow store like just scared shitless, and like the dude's like dude, you don't have to be like so uptight out here, dude. And like I lived in Oregon for probably 2 to 3 years before like I kind of chilled out, but I still kind of got that Midwest watch your ass mentality when it comes to like just
same, bro.
looking out for motherfuckers, dude. They're after you.
They
yeah,
are, bro. Like
they definitely are.
it took me like it was a 2 or 3 years after I moved to Oregon too. I didn't have my first encounter with police when I was high and had weed, and they could see it,
Yeah,
and I showed my card, and they were like, "Are you over your limit?" I'm like, "That's what I got right here." I showed them like a quarter ounce of weed, and they were like, "All right, good."
yeah. Well, for years,
Yeah.
like the medical card's always been the getaway free card. Like I've been pulled over 3 times, like within 10 seconds of smoking weed, and like all they've ever asked is to see my med card, and that's like the end of it. Never even, like most of the time. One time there was like a car in the other lane on a 4-lane highway, and a trooper had a car pulled over, and I couldn't like get over because there was traffic there, and he pulled me over for not like I guess you're supposed to slow down to like 10 miles an hour below the speed limit, so he pulled me over for that, and like I was just roasting a bull, and like he didn't even give me a ticket or nothing. He was like, "Oh, have a good day. Just wanted to let you know." Oregon cops are pretty cool, dude. For the most part.
They are, dude. They are. I
Definitely.
like 1 year also. I think it was 2015. Like I didn't have everything I wanted. I think I needed like 10 or 15 more plants. So I hollered at my cousin out there in Eastern Oregon, and I went and grabbed a bunch of cuts from him. And some of them were teens, bro. And it was hard to fit them in my fucking car. And it would just like plants filling up the whole car. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
got pulled over on 84. I was almost to Troutdale, bro. It's like the cop was posted on one of those exits before Troutdale, and he yanked me. And bro, I was driving butter, speed limit, all that shit, everything. And he yanked me, and I'm like sweating, like fuck. And I
Yeah.
had more than I had cards for. I had more than I had cards for, but like he looked and he was like, I noticed you had a bunch of plants in your car. I was like, yeah, I'm a medical grower. Here's my card. I was like, I got this card and this card too. I'm going for these two patients. And he was just like, so do you want me to? I was like, you could, sir. I was like, bro, it's not worth your time. I'm like, I could sit here and open my doors, but, and he's like, well, you have your paperwork. And he let me, like, bro, he let me go. And that shit would never fly in the state I grew up in Idaho, bro. Like every time I had that encounter with police, I was like, oh my God. I thought I was going
Right.
to jail. You know what I mean? I'm going to jail. Fuck, I'm going to jail in Oregon. New charges. Fuck. And it's like, nope. You got this card. You're okay. Later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a question from YouTube here. Says any thoughts on pig farmer working in the rec industry or med for life?
Or med for life, he said. His mic cut out for a second.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
don't know, man. I mean, I would love to be able to get, like into. I would like to do a micro tier rec roll, but like the licenses and shit are all on hold. So until then, I'm kind of stuck. Honestly, and like I, like I live on a private easement, so I can only grow for 2 medical cards. So I only grow like 12 plants here anymore. Like.
Yep.
And then I got a neighbor a few miles away that's got a shop that, like I help him run 12 plants with, and we take
Nice.
care of freaking 4 patients,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, like, I don't know until they get this all sorted out. I guess I'm not doing anything in Oregon, but that's kind of one of the things too. Like, I don't know, I'm not opposed to. I love Oregon and everything, but man, like, there's a lot of shit popping off in other states right now, and
Yep,
but
Yes.
I don't know.
definitely.
Getting involved with some other people, like I have a hard time trusting people, dude, and like trying to be involved in some shit like on that level with people that you don't even truly know. It's like that's a whole stress
Fuck
in its
yeah.
own.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I applied for a couple farm jobs in Oregon this summer just because I wanted to be closer to my kids, and it just everything was super sketchy. Some of the shit was hemp, and it was just like, yo, if I'm gonna move back to Oregon, I need a lot more info than what you're giving me, and it just doesn't really sound too solid
Yeah.
Yeah,
right now.
And there's
So
definitely like beneficial, relationships for investors and that, but like at the end of the day, it's technically, and I'm sure some people will disagree with me, but it's technically, people are profiting off your expertise.
right.
If
That's
you have
why
a
I
good
think
business
kind
model,
of
you know
like
what you're
do
doing, and
yeah, yeah, do like more of a consulting gig. That's kind of what I got lined up for the summer. I got a couple consulting gigs, like one out in Maine and one
that's
like
awesome.
Missouri area. So
That's
kind of
super
check that
cool.
out. Just kind of start feeling the way, and that's the thing. It's like with weed, I mean, like I've never forced any of this shit. I've always did it slow. I'm be nice to see like where the market is in another 2 years before you like totally dive into some shit. Like it's gonna
I
Definitely.
stress you out.
agree.
I dove in like
I
2 years ago or 3 years ago and come up empty. So that was some stressful shit.
Yeah,
But
Definitely.
dude. I
so I ain't looking to do it
I,
again anytime soon unless it's on a real small scale.
I
Yeah.
agree. I tried my ass off to get an investor for a rec license, and I couldn't do it. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, fuck. I would be stressed out with a whole bunch of weed with no place to sell it. You know what I mean?
Right. It's kind of a
So I
blessing in
just,
disguise now, for sure.
yeah. That's what I tell myself, you know?
Yeah. It'll all sort itself out the way it's supposed to be, I like to think, but fuck, hard telling what's gonna happen with when this shit goes legal and everything. It's hard telling, it's either gonna be really awesome or really shitty. It's gonna
Well,
change
I
one
just
way or the
think
other.
that because like people can brew their own beer at home, and like getting a license from the state to sell it isn't really that expensive as long as you like they just do an inspection. It's just like weed, I'm pretty sure. So I'm hoping that
Right.
people like you, as a small grower who are doing some bomb shit and not on a large scale, can just fill out the
To
paperwork and be
survive.
able to
Do something right.
yeah,
And
and then send it to
that's
wherever, because it's gonna be large and accepted as great work wherever the market is the highest. You know what I mean? People are looking for that. It's like, nah, we'll pay extra. We just need some bomb. And I think that if you can
right.
ship it out of state with no sweat, then fuck, you'll be fucking making money, bro.
Right. They just need to like, they're just they put the stranglehold on it all, man, and they try to control it all, and like that's tough. Like trying to
Yeah,
be under somebody's control. You're basically owned by them peckerheads.
I agree. I
Yeah.
don't like being controlled either, dude. Like it bothers me in any sort of relationship, personal or business. It's like, man, I don't like the way this
Yeah, and
shit
then being
feels,
controlled, and it's
man.
like, well, wait, who's the expert here? I am, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's me.
Yeah, I don't know. They got there's a lot of changes that need to happen, but shit, I don't know, how, what the hell. I hope for the best, but man, I think that, yeah, if it goes federal, I think Cali and Oregon will always have, like that demand because where have people always gotten it from, they want to go to where it's known, people go to Cali and Oregon for wine, they're going to come for weed too.
Yeah, I agree.
I really wish Oregon had not had kept it at people who were residents of the state only. I think they really
Yeah,
opened the floodgates and fucked it up when they let out of state have a shot in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that changed a lot of
That was
shit too.
Yeah, that was my whole angle for getting a license or an investor too, dude. It's like, nah, I've been here for the past fucking 6 or 7 years. Like, fucking put the money down right here on my name, fill out the app, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get it. And now I'm just like, well, I'll be okay, Like, I'm glad I don't owe a guy that much money for some shit I can't fucking sell. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, dude, I mean, like, I think I think everybody's gonna be fine. Though it was tough there, but a lot of people like dropped out of the game already. And like, dude, one thing Oregon needs to do
Yeah,
too with the overproduction of weed is like put a freaking expiration date on these flowers. Like, do people really want to
Yep.
be smoking flowers that are 6 months to a year old? I mean, what?
yeah.
I mean, if that
Yeah,
Cause
shit
and
ain't
or
gone enough in like 2 3 months, I mean, a banana don't last forever.
exactly,
exactly.
and Oregon is shitty about that too, because I remember, when working for Natural Wonders, we actually called about a product that was on our shelf, and we hadn't been able to sell a lot of it, so it met that year lapse of like, okay, it's been a year since the date it was tested, which is when you're supposed to either pull it off or find out what to do next. And we literally called the OLCC, and they're like, "Oh, you're good. Keep selling it. Yeah, there's no technical rule on that. You can sell it whenever." Till whenever, and it's
Yeah,
like, really? Jesus.
Damn.
Yeah.
it's strange. And that's those $300 pounds you hear about selling and shit. Frick yeah, you'll take 300
Yep.
bucks
Yeah.
for a pound of gold. And it was shitty to
Yep.
begin with. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, dude, just the math. I sometimes if someone sometimes I drive Lyft, right? Amazon is my main gig down here, but sometimes I'll drive
Uh,
Lyft to fill in. And every now and then somebody's a stoner or they're interested in the industry, and I'll tell them we got the podcast, and I tell them the numbers. I'm like, yo, 350,000 packs will move through Oregon stores in a year. I'm like, in 2017, 1.2 million packs came down. In 2018, 1.2 million packs came down. So it's like there's a huge surplus, and that shit isn't gonna last. I'm like, is everybody just gonna turn it into carts or what the fuck? Because it just it's a bummer, dude. Like it. I wanted to go federal so all those farms can just be like, nope, it's headed out. Fuck you guys that cuss this. You know,
like I got
and
a
I
acquaintance that runs micro tier grow, and like he doesn't have a name. He's got some decent strains, but he grows like salt wheat. He grows like these kind salts, that come like in a bucket and mixes it with water, and the wheat turns out pretty shitty. Like what I think, but like it looks. He literally sells like 10 packs for 9 grand to a wholesaler, and that's the only way he can sell his stuff. And he's the only one, like he does everything himself, like every part of it. He's only got 20 flowering lights. He's got 2 with 10 light rooms. And he paid his taxes and everything last year and did it all legally on those 20 lights. And he cleared like 120 grand. And that's just on
that's
20
really
lights.
good.
And and he said, he treats it like he also trains dogs. So he treats it like a part time job. So, like, dude, it gives me faith. Like, hell, if I had a 20
Yeah,
lighter, I could go sell packs for 2 grand and keep it super limited, and everybody's cool and happy.
yeah,
Like,
Yep.
bro.
Definitely.
Fuck, dude,
Definitely.
that's really a good story, bro. Like,
Which
fuck,
is why I like
that
Oregon
gives
too,
me hope
because
too, man.
I mean Oregon's been shitty in other aspects of the industry, but also like I don't feel like a lot of states would. There's a few micro tiers I know of in Oregon that are thriving. They're doing great. They got their 2 small rooms, and they are sold out as like 2 weeks before the harvest comes down.
yeah,
And yeah, I think that
and
that
really,
part about Oregon is really great.
all you gotta do to know like what's going on there is like, are the employees happy? Yes, then they're fucking doing great. Like shit's good. But if the employees are
Yep.
pissed, it's just the whole thing's
Yep.
fucked. You know?
Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm smoking White
Okay.
Tahoe Cookie, man. A new go to for the flaves right now. Our
Heck yeah.
Tahoe Cookie, but man, it makes me like forget what I'm talking about sometimes, dude. Crazy.
It's
Fucking
some
A,
good
dude.
stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna, since we're towards the second half, towards the twilight, I guess we're at 9:30 right now. If you want to go for 2 hours, please do, bro. You know what I mean? Like we're digging everything so far. But my cookie cutter question I have, what are some of your goals in the industry? Like, is that like the micro tier license possibly, since your homie did so well in a year's time?
I'm really gonna probably just start consulting for some people like that want help and like that want to learn how to like my expertise comes with nectar. Fuck, I've grown weed many different ways, but I've never like had what I consider success and without nectar. So like I'm not gonna go like try to teach people how to grow weed with some other shit because I don't know myself, like that
Yeah.
well. And like if I don't like the weed, like I don't really want to be like trying to learn more about it, so I don't know. There's and then like with nectar, like there's so much stuff you can do with inside of nectar that like, the chain you can just try numerous things, just like every product kind of like has its own little thing, and once you know when to put that product on and like how hard to put the gas pedal to the floor with it, like then it's kind of all, like watching if you're growing the same strains over and over, you can get really good at like watching like how your plants to react to what's going on, what you're putting in there, where, it's just I like the full control like that. And that shit, if you give 2 weeks plain water at the end, like what people consider a flush time, your weed is so freaking hungry by the end of it, it's basically dying. So like, like it's clean, like you stop with the medusas, like you'll see it in the nitrogen, that's the main nitrogen. You pull the medusas and the athenas out, you can like drop color in the plants and like within a week. Boom, it'll come on. And it happens like clockwork. Once you know what like does that, it's like, oh yeah, So I kind of like that's why I like it so much. Is that, like you can just tailor tailor it. It's so diverse.
No doubt. And the Medusa, and what was the other one you were talking about?
The Athenas Aminus is actually fermented pig skin, so that's always my favorite product. And it really
Word,
keeps
yeah.
it like it's proteins and amino acids and shit. It keeps the plants really green.
No
So you pull
doubt,
that shit
man.
out. Medusas has got a lot of nitrogen. There's well, not a lot of nitrogen, but they're nitrogen source too. And yeah, those plants like will drop color. Like if you do it for 2 weeks, like you basically killed your plant for a week. I do like to do
Word.
a week of plain water at the end just because I smoke my weed in a pipe and I want it to burn clean. I feel like I've tried it. Yeah, you get bigger weights feeding that shit till the day of cropping it, but when you light it on fire and it burns like a you still get flavor off of it, but it never like gets to the core of the piece of flour you're burning, where it like almost burns inside out. And like you can't get that
Yeah,
because I don't know, so full of calcium at that point.
no doubt.
So
Fucking A,
all
man.
the
I,
calcium
I,
toxicity.
no doubt, man. I dig what you're saying right now, bro. It's really, it's game, man, for real.
Yeah,
Um,
but
so
yeah, dude. I
what
used to
sort?
I used to grow, I used to grow flowers to like move them to go buy the shit that I wanted to smoke. And I wish I could still do that, man. I don't know if I would still be growing flower because I'm still growing flower because I like to smoke it. And
Yeah,
I don't want to go to the dispensary and pay $40 an eighth or whatever it is, for some shit I don't even want to smoke. So I'm growing weed out of pure necessity. I need multiple reasons. You know, so I'm still
yeah.
being weed. I plan on growing medical weed for myself until I'm freaking dead.
Me too, dude. Like I'm gonna post an ad on Craigslist down here to find that patient who lives 25 miles from a dispensary and just say, "Hey, dude, this is make me
Yeah.
your caregiver. I'll plug you in. I got game. Even if I just run some LEDs because it's hella hot and dry down here, and bugs don't really die through the winter, so I'm kind of worried about a few things, but I feel like I could do okay, man. You know."
Yeah. Hey, dudes, I just need to give my two boys like hug and kiss goodnight, and like I can pop back on here, but I need like a 5-minute break, unless you guys want to
Oh,
hang it up.
I guess. Well, shit, dude. What do you think, Will? Do you think we can freestyle for 5 minutes?
Just a couple
Yeah, or
minutes.
we can just end it too. Either one, you know. If it's Joey's gotta go, we can. You know, we're already
I
past
just need
our
to
normal time.
say goodnight to my boys. They're going to bed. It's like about 10 o'clock here, so they're getting ready for bed. It'll only take me a couple minutes if you guys want to keep going, but it's okay if you want to go too. It don't matter to me, man.
Uh, I still want to ask you a few more questions. Me and Will can freestyle.
Cool. I'll be
Can
back.
you can you well can you stay on the line and just set your phone down?
Yeah, I'll be right back in like 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right, Will. So far I just got a couple more. I wanted to ask him about, the concepts he wants to promote, and I also want to plug his social media. And then
Sounds good.
if he wants to go till 10, bro, I'm like, shit. Like everything he's
Yeah,
saying, I'm like, yeah, dude, like everything about the nutrients and all that, dude.
definitely.
Yeah. I wish I would have grabbed one more beer at the store.
Yeah, probably drink one too many. You can have one of mine.
Yeah, man, I wish, Will. What's the word on the store, Will? Are you going back to work sometime soon?
Yeah, I should be heading back in. I keep saying I think
One more week?
I feel like I've been saying a week for the past 2 months. But Jackson called me. What was it? Friday
Hey, I'm
night.
back.
All
Uh,
right, all right.
and yeah, what's up? What up, Jackson? Yeah, he called me Friday night and let me know that we're the final home stretch and that we should be slanging Nug in the next week or two. You know, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that, but so yeah, you know, I'm just waiting on the official word, and I'm there.
Okay, we got one question from YouTube. Pig Farm, what is one good grow
Oh,
tip?
is he back on or is he?
Yeah, he's back on. You're back, right, Joey?
Yeah, I'm back here.
Yeah, so we got a question from YouTube. What is one good grow tip from Pig Farm?
On what? What aspect of growing?
Well,
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
Michael. That's
yeah, like
Michael.
yeah,
You
well, I
don't
mean,
need to be asking questions on here. He knows all the good tricks. He's a good grower.
so I mean, but what do you think? Like, where do you feel most new guys fuck up at? Like, what's the most important thing for newbies
A
to
lot of people fuck
understand?
up, the final process, like just finishing the weed right and like you know drying it right. Drying it at the right humidity. A lot of it is just having like a lot of people set up a grow and then set up like like they realize they need a drying room and they set a drying room up in 2 days, and the odds of that like drying room even being the right environment, like or half of these freaking chads even know what percentage to dry their weed at and what I mean it's just
Yeah.
and too, though you
Yeah,
got like if you got big crops and you're drying big crops is totally different from drying like small crops when you got a huge amount of humidity dumping off of a bunch of weight, so like there's learning curves to that shit too, I guess. But
definitely.
No doubt. So a
Yeah, I was gonna
cure.
say you know, you take what 8, 9 weeks to grow it, and then you fuck it up in the last week of curing or whatever. It's
right. Or
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
some people don't not even thinking that like I don't know the people that even with nectar that just feed to them, like I can tell the minute I hit the bowl, the first hit I take, oh that shit never got, I run nectar to the end of that shit. You can tell.
All right. So The YouTube follow-up question, what's your temps and humidity in veg? What's your fan situation in your dry room? Break it down in dry, not veg.
I was like, who is this on YouTube? That's very
Yeah.
specific. What like who's asking that here? Who's taking
Yeah,
notes?
There, man.
I mean, with veg, I like 55% humidity for veg and like 80 degrees. You know, and like in the wintertime, I run my lights 24 hours a day. Because if I don't, I have to freaking heat the room for 4 hours. So I just leave the lights on, and in the summertime, I turn them off for 4 hours each day to save like heat and electricity that way. And it's like I don't see any difference. But yeah, I run about 80 and 55 humidity, and then in the drying room, like I don't, you know, like some people that have a bunch of air moving, I don't like that. Like that dries your buds too fast. Like 10 to 12 days in Oregon is great. And like the only time that we have, you know, like there's once a year, every crop, once a year in the wintertime, like you'll get this cold snap where the humidity drops to like freaking 30%. And then like everybody's weeds over dried that season. I do it every freaking winter. Sucks. But just little things like that. And like, dude, you know, if you come from a different environment, like Colorado growers, they dry their weed. You know, like I don't know how to dry weed in Colorado. Sorry. You know, like I'll fucking
Damn.
help you learn, but I don't know how to dry
Bend,
weed in
Oregon
Colorado. Never,
too.
yeah, I know how to dry
Bend,
weed in
yeah.
Iowa. I know how to dry weed in Oregon.
Yeah, I remember I used to trim for my buddy who had to grow down Bend, and that dry time versus the valley was drastically different. I mean, shit, he'd have his stuff hanging for a day or two, and it's like, oh, ready to go. Like, geez, it's like hardly any humidity down here, so
And you know, like big fat buds, you know, like I like to hit them hard, you know, like for like the first 24 to 48 hours, you know, like hit them with like a 35-40% veg room just to suck some of that initial like water out of them big ass buds, so like they ain't sitting there festering with like, you know, because they're pretty wet still those first 48 hours, even if you're
I
set your room at
agree.
40, you know, and then like you just gotta kind of like work your DUE, your AC. You know, I check them. If I got drying weed, I check on that shit every damn morning.
What do you keep the humidity at when you're drying? Is there like, because a lot of
I like
people, I feel like, right.
in Oregon, I like 55. 55 or, you know, 10 to 12 days, depending on strain. Pretty much, you always hit it in that window.
Word. And then do you feel like a little bit cooler and darkness is better? Because some guys I've seen like will turn on the heat to where it gets like 80, 85 in the room
Yeah.
sometimes.
I like my drying temp like 65 to 68,
Word,
50 to 50 humidity.
word.
No,
My
nuclear
uncle in
exchange, you know,
Seattle.
your blowers or any of that shit.
Yeah, my uncle in SCA, like he would hang stuff on a line in one room, darkness, and then he had just one. It wasn't an oscillating fan; it was just a big box fan blowing through there just one time. And then
Yep.
he would even like he would have like the big ass white salmon coolers, and he would take the whole plant and put them in the coolers too, just to bring
Yep.
it back out and then hang it up when we're like his process was deep, and I was like, God damn, man, like this is hardcore, but
Yep.
it was fire at the end, you know what I mean? And uh
Yep.
up there was a lot more humid than down there in Oregon. It was right there like shoreline area, pretty close to the sound, so it was always humid all the time. So it was cool learning stuff like that, and trying to soak it up because it saves time, man. And so I try to tell anybody, it's like if a grower asks you for help, fucking show up, man. You'll learn something.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah. Um. So I got a few more cookie cutter questions. I think three more. So we got 12 minutes left. What sort of concepts or ideas would you like to promote for the future?
For cannabis in general, or like,
Yeah, yeah, whatever, or coral reef,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, yeah, whatever.
what's it take to change a law? You know, like there's some shit that the growers know is wrong. You know, like what's it what's it take to change this plastic packaging shit that like no one agrees with, but it has to fucking do. You know, if you want to sell your product legally, you know, put it in some plastic, man. It's fucked up. You know, like that needs changed. You know, like just some of it's overbearing. You know, too. That's just like they need to start taking some input from like somebody that actually knows what's going on in the real world or something. You know, I
Yeah.
don't know, you know, I'm not political. I hate fucking politics. I ain't about to like go and stand and like try to fucking get some shit changed unless everybody else is gonna, and everyone else don't seem to fucking doing it. You know, I'm fucking just trying to
Yeah.
raise a get through. I'm
No.
not trying to be politically involved, really.
Yeah, and it seems like the committees that they put together for changing any sort of rules is kind of limited, like they only get a few folks in there, and I'm sure those folks are fighting, but it's just like,
Well, it's like how much they don't really listen to any folks that they
yeah,
hold these hearings, but it's like we've already made up our mind. We're not gonna, we'll just do this to please you.
mm, yeah, to
The
say
wrong
that we
people
had
are in
these
charge.
guys in
You
the
know?
room.
I mean, honestly, there's a hidden agenda to it all. You know, like we don't know what it is. I knew that when I never voted for legal weed. I knew this shitstorm was going to hit the fan. But you know, it's good in a way. It's great in a way, but it's not good in the ways that like you know now it's like so they're so up in your ass about it. You know, like I don't know.
Definitely.
It's a hard game to play when they're setting all these things up for you. You got to abide by.
Yeah, man, the overregulation of the industry is real.
Fucking cannabis booby traps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say,
I
yeah,
guess.
people, you know, people think these weed growers make all this money, dude. Like, you know, not just anyone in the weed market in like 2019, like fucking stacking cake. There ain't nobody doing that
Nope.
anymore. Those days are
Nope.
gone.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's testing and packaging, like you said. It's made it very hard. And once what or what's everyone brags about and pushes forth as like a really profitable industry that you can invest in, and then it's just over regulation with all these little stupid laws that really just ruin it. It turns a profitable industry into something that you're constantly worrying about. I got to stay in compliance, I got to do this right, I got to pay my overhead. And now it's like, you went from, hey, I could make a living off cannabis, like, shit, this shit's overregulated, I'm struggling to stay above water, in some cases. So
Amen, brother.
Yeah, it's
For
pretty
real.
crazy, man.
I had to
It's
bail. You know what I
it's
mean? I was
sort
like,
itself out.
fuck.
And if not, well, I'll go get real jobs again. You know, like shit, I
Yeah,
can do. You
I'm
know,
on
I'm
I'm
supposed to
on
go
that
in and do
real
it.
job tip.
Yeah.
All right, so
I
for
don't want to do it, but I'll do it if I have to.
yeah, I want to
Um,
open it up for callers. If anybody is listening and wants to call in, the 1-800 number is 1-833-777-DABS. That's 1-833-777-3227.
Yeah, we got quite a few YouTube watchers now. I think we peaked at our highest amount of viewers ever. So
Yeah,
props to that,
dude.
and thank you, Pig Farmer.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I'm trying to get you guys like lined up with somebody like Chem Dog or Pat at Heroes of the Farm, or you know, like I bet there's all kinds of people I can get lined up to come on here because you guys need some exposure and shit. You know, like
Yeah,
you guys.
Yeah,
we
I mean, at
we
the end of the day, too,
appreciate
yeah,
it.
it's great. We just want to listen to some stories and shoot the shit. So
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
you're fucking true stoners. I love you guys. Yeah, it's great. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
man. It's
thanks,
it's
man.
been a
We
good
got we love you. We
show.
got mad respect for you.
Mad respect, dude. Can
it's,
you please
I'm.
plug your
I'm
social
not really
media?
fucking good, you know? I think I can pull some strings though, and I bet you old Pat will come on here and shoot some shit for an hour or so. You know,
Word,
especially you
word.
probably.
Yeah,
Oh, he's doing the big right now. It'd be great to talk to Pat because that kid, you know, he's like always been like the driving force, like for motivation for so many people, dude. That fucking kid is.
Yeah.
Man, he's always
Yeah.
got projects he's working on too. He's always got something. It's like, oh, you think I got this, and it's like, oh, I got three more things I'm working on. It's like, damn.
Yeah. The hemp
It's
shit
project.
in his
It's
feed, the hemp
project.
stuff does look dope.
Yeah, dude. I want what my ultimate like stoner goal in life right now is to like do like hopefully like shit goes real well and we can have like open smoking lounges and shit. But how sweet would it be to like have a coffee shop? They call it the reefing, like the reefing lounge, dude, where you'd have like a coffee shop and you go up in there, you smoke some really good weed and some really like high end glass. It just feels good in your hand and sit around and look at freaking saltwater tanks, dude. Like it is
Hell
just,
yeah, that'd be mad
dude, it
tight.
was fucking cool. That's what I want to do. That's what I think's cool these days. That'd be
No
fun. That'd
doubt.
Definitely,
be fun.
absolutely. That would be
Yeah,
super
I'd be.
fun. Fucking getting stoned as shit and looking at a bunch of fish and exotic reef arrangements.
Yeah, dude. Like I was wanting to do that. I was gonna start like doing some shit like through some of these dispensaries, like with tanks and shit. But like the OLCC won't even let you have a pet like in there. Not even like a lizard or anything, dude. Like you can't have fish and sell
Really?
weed in the. Yeah,
That's so
Damn.
whack.
and
That is
it's that like freaking Pink Floyd sang about it all the time. Fucking full control, dude. It's like a monster beast. You know.
Crazy.
yeah. Can you please plug your social media?
What is it these days, dude? I got deleted. I get deleted.
The
I'm not
Reef
really on Facebook anymore. I just kind of like I have an active account
IG.
so I can do like some reefing like groups and buy and sell and trade some coral like and see some local ads and shit. But the Instagram I think like the underscore reefing pig maybe. I mean if they're
Yeah.
you'll see it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I dig a lot of your posts, man. It's real informative and comedic and entertaining, you know what I mean? It's like
Entertainment for me. Like honestly, like I get up and drink my coffee, make a couple freaking posts in the morning while taking a shit, and like I regret like 80%.
Dude,
I go about my
man,
day.
it's awesome, dude. I like
Well, yeah, I like to push fucking buttons, and dude, I don't mean no harm to these people. Like people are so damn defensive this day, and it's like I
what,
like
dude,
to know.
yeah.
You push it up,
Fragile,
pump
Right.
your
so
gut.
fragile.
Yeah, cracking jokes, man. Yeah, man. That's what happens where
Yeah,
I come from, dude.
I don't like to be serious. Like, what's fuck. I hope I'm not 80
Yeah.
and serious. Like, this is fucking miserable, dude.
Yeah. Okay, so
Sweet.
we I looks like we got 3 minutes left, Pig Farm. Are there any other topics you'd like to discuss in this interview?
Not that I can think of, man. I got cotton mouth. I need some water.
Same, dude. Same.
Yeah, I think we're good. We got a lot of content, so
Okay, cool. Well, I want to thank you again, Joey, for coming on. It's been an honor and it's been a pleasure, dude. Like
Yeah,
absolutely.
dude, when you
Thank
get
you,
to
man.
Oregon, you could come up and we could at least hang out in my shop around the fish tank and like smoke ganja and shit and shoot the shit, dude. It's good to,
hell yeah,
you know,
dude. Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
I usually fly into Eugene, so I'll let you know
yeah,
when I'm sliding through, dude.
3 hours to
I
be
guess
probably.
yeah. Okay, cool, dude. Shit, dude. I guess I'll do my outro dance, folks.
Thank you,
Ladies
guys.
and gentlemen. Yeah, well thank you,
Of
dude.
course, man. Thank you.
We'll send you the Spotify and the YouTube links as soon as we got them.
Right on. You guys have a good
All
night.
right,
Thank
dude.
you, everyone.
Sweet.
Yeah,
You
you
too.
too. We
Ev-
appreciate you. Much love, much
yeah,
respect.
yeah, everyone that was Pig Farmer, OMMP Pig Farmer, as he is formally known, and
Y-
one of the, just best growers, in my opinion, in Oregon and in around the world, like you said, John. I mean,
Yeah, same man. World renowned. Guy does awesome work. We appreciate him coming on the show. And thank you for
definitely.
asking some dope questions too, Will. Like
Yes, sir.
I can't wait to listen to this episode.
I know. It's like
All right.
we went the full time. I think it's our first episode. We went
Uh,
all the way to
yeah,
10
2
p.m.
hours.
West Coast, 1
Yes,
a.m. out
sir.
here. So
Yeah, man, good stuff, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide into the outro dance, folks. This
sweet.
was the 11th episode of Concerned Dabs podcast with Pig Farmer. I was your host, KDM Kane. With me was my co-host, Will Terps. I got to give a shout out to my guys in production, Mitchell Wilson and Jesse Curry. This has been a Main Node and Joseph Street Enterprise production.